Monday afternoon, friends. If you were a fly on the wall in my house today, you'd probably be giggling because I've tried doing this several times and it's not worked out. So hopefully this time is a charm. Um, Recently, I've asked for 33 followers, likes and followers on our Ducking Our Way to a Cure Facebook page. So I thought that it was only fair for the people that don't know me to kind of have a video or, a face to look at and to kind of know a little bit about. So I'm going to go through a couple of things in this video. If you know me, you can skip it. If you know me and want to listen, you can listen. But let's get started. My name is Ashley Pedro. I turned 36 last month. I am originally from Thomas, West Virginia. I moved to Nebraska 7 years ago, about 8 months after I met my husband in Cancun, Mexico. I've been married 3 times. The first time we were too young. We dated through high school. We went to college in the beginning, and we were just too young. That's it. The second one, I really don't have anything to say other than I was married a second time. And the third time has been a charm. We are currently going on 4 years and 4 months of being happily married. We have had our ups and downs. Cancer has put a wrench in things. But I honestly don't think I'd be here without him. He has been a godsend. I am so lucky to have him in my life and as a supporter. He's a great husband. He's a great partner. He's a great dad. I am just super, super lucky to have him. So shout out to my husband, Josh Pedro. 3 things about me. Number 1, I love NASCAR. I absolutely love NASCAR. It's probably the only sport that I enjoy watching or will watch. I will sit through football because I have to, but normally I'm doing something and not really watching it. It's more of a background noise. Denny Hamlin is my guy and has been pretty much since the second part of my watching NASCAR. The first part, I watched NASCAR as a kid until Dale Earnhardt passed, and then we took a very long break. I don't think my stepdad watched it after that. But I got into NASCAR years and years ago, I guess. It's been a while. I actually first started rooting for Trevor Bayne the year that I got into it again a lot and picked Trevor Bayne. Actually won the race, and I'm pretty sure it was Bristol maybe, and I'm pretty sure I was there. So I was super excited. But Trevor Bayne kind of faded, and you didn't really hear anything from him, so I went to Denny Hamlin. Denny Hamlin has a podcast called Actions Detrimental. I enjoy listening to it. My husband enjoys listening to it. It kind of gives you perspective through a driver's eye. It gives you information about what we don't see or what we're not involved in. It's very informative, and it gives you a look into NASCAR itself. On his episode extending an olive branch to Kyle Larson, he said it best. He said, typically the farther away from you that they are, the more disrespectful that they become. I couldn't agree more with that. People these days are easily judgmental, jump to conclusions, not very nice, very unkind to each other. And I think that it's easier for them to do that behind a computer screen and behind a keyboard. So I agree 100%. Just be kind. You never know what somebody is going through. You never know what they have been through. Just be kind to one another. It's just a good way of doing things and living life. Being unkind is not going to get you anywhere, in my opinion. Second thing is I'm a procrastinator. Josh and I leave Wednesday morning, most likely around 6 a.m. The earlier that we can get on the road, the earlier that we can get to Texas. Days at MD Anderson are long. They are not necessarily stressful. They're just tiring because it's a lot of sitting and waiting, a lot of appointments and seeing people and talking, and it makes for very long days. So the sooner that we can get down there and kind of get back in the groove down there, the better. But I haven't packed yet. I like a clean house. I like coming back to a clean house. So when I leave for trips like this, I like to clean up as much as I can. We have 2 Siberian Huskies. So I like to at least vacuum the floor before they leave. If not, the hair on the floor is out of control by the time we get back. I obviously am not going to be back for a good time period, but my husband will. So I will most likely do that. I like to clean our sheets, wash the clothes that are dirty. So most likely tomorrow after I do all that, I will pack. It'll all come together. It always does. Third thing is I love photography. If I could find a way to make money with the pictures that I take, I would. But I have friends that are here that are photographers, that have customers that are loyal to them, and they do very well with it, and they are very talented, and I'm just not going to take away customers. So maybe one day I'll figure it out. Maybe I can sell pictures. I don't know. But I would love to do that at some point. It's a good hobby, and I love doing it. So if you've ever been with me, you know that I always have my camera, and if I do and you're with me, you're most likely going to be in some or all of the pictures. So that's enough of that. Now about the cancer. So in February of 2021, I was diagnosed with stage 4 colon cancer at the age of 33. I had tried getting into the military in the summer of 2020. If you know anything about that and getting into the military later in life, you know that they want all the records that they can get their hands on. They need to make sure that you are up for the task. If you had a Band-Aid, they want a copy of those records. When I turned in my records, the medical director looked at it and said that my iron levels or hemoglobin or both, I can't remember now, were an immediate disqualification. So I went directly back to my PA and said, listen, this is something that I've wanted to do for a long time. This is my last opportunity to try this. I need to get the hemoglobin and iron level under control and figure it out. And how do we do that? So she sent me to a hematologist oncologist in Columbus, Dr. Shaw. Shout out to him. He's been the best. He sent me for 2 iron infusions. I was kind of confused at why I was in an oncology place with people around me getting chemo. It was kind of scary, but they said that sometimes it goes hand in hand. Sometimes it's just, he was just a hematologist oncologist. So I didn't really worry too much about it. The levels after the 2 iron infusions, it didn't, one went up and the other one didn't, and it's not supposed to do that. So he sent me for a colonoscopy consult as he thought that there was something else that was wrong. In between the colonoscopy consult and the 2 iron infusions that I had done, I had an annual appointment. My PA was able to roll a mass in my abdomen. I went for a CT scan of my abdomen and pelvis. Went to work that night at the Boone County Sheriff's Office where I worked at the time as a dispatcher jailer, and came home around 2:30 a.m. that morning and went to bed. My husband came in the next morning around 9 or 10, I think, and said, "You've got to get out of bed. The hospital's trying to call you." We went in and talked to my PA. She said that according to the scans, it looked like I had colon cancer. She wanted to do another scan of my chest just to make sure that nothing else went up. Had that done, it came back fine. We had the colonoscopy consult that week. I actually had to talk my husband into going to that because he said, "Ashley, you're not going to have a colonoscopy done that day. You'll be fine. It's just a consult." But I felt like there was something wrong. And I said, "I really need you to be there." So he ended up coming. I will never forget the day. Adrian, the nurse oncology nurse, she's a nurse navigator. She was mine. Was there, as well as Dr. Morse, the general surgeon, and my husband. And Dr. Morse looked at me and Josh and said, "You will not have a colonoscopy or EGD, I believe is what it's called. You have stage 4 colon cancer, and the tumor in your colon is almost completely obstructing your colon, and we have to get it out. So you have surgery in 6 days." Had that surgery the beginning of March. End of March, I started 6 of 12 chemo treatment, very aggressive chemo treatments. In June of 2021, I finished those 6. I took a month off to prepare for the liver resection. They did a scan prior to the liver resection, and it showed that the mass was just as big as it was before, which is important because my tumors are mucinous, which kind of means, in my opinion, and a health person can correct me if this is wrong, but in my opinion, it's my tumors have a bubble around them that protect them from the chemo killing them. So that kind of confused them in the beginning. They thought that maybe it was a hemangioma. Dr. Vargas was my liver resection surgeon, and he was out on vacation at the time that came back. So when he came back, they had to kind of go to a tumor board and say, "Hey, what are we going to do about this?" Dr. Vargas decided that he needed to take it out because either way it needed to come out. Beginning of July, they had that surgery. End of August, I'm fairly certain, beginning of August, something like that, I started 7 of 12 chemo treatments. I did the next 6 or 5 between August and October. I finished up in October. Had my scan in November to see if the cleanup chemo or whatever they call it got all the chemo. The November scan showed that everything was clear. I was good. In January of 2022, I had a CEA level done. A CEA level is a tumor marker. I went from a 0.9 to a 2.1. I was told it's fine, that it wasn't a huge deal, that everything would be fine. Normal range is 0 to 4.0, and mine was just 2.1, so it was still within normal range. Shortly after that, I started having issues, and in March of 2022, I had a CT scan that confirmed that the cancer was back. A day later, I met with my other oncologist that I saw, Dr. Reno, in Omaha, and he confirmed that the cancer was back, and it was back with vengeance. So he suggested we get a second opinion at that point, and he would make the calls for us, and and get that all set up for us. We didn't really have to do anything but wait for the calls. I started chemo and did chemo pretty much all the way through 2022. We did have a meeting with Dr. Nyang at MD Anderson in Houston, Texas, at some point in we saw a bunch of people in 2022, but we did have a meeting initially with him, and he said at this point, standard of care is better, which means chemo. He said, I would like to get you started on that ASAP. So my advice to you is just to go home and start on that. So that's what we did. We met with them every once in a while just to do scans, just to let them see how things were progressing. In April of 2023, it was confirmed that the cancer was outsmarting the chemo. At that point, I was only able to do 5FU, which was the pump that I absolutely hated. And the pump itself was not working as well as the pump plus Avastin, but the Avastin was giving me so many issues that I just couldn't do it. So June of 2023, they signed me up for a clinical trial. Josh and I drove down to Texas on June 10th. We started the clinical trial on June 13th. July of 2023, I think, mid-July maybe, I was kicked off the clinical trial. The CT scan that I had done showed that there was growth, which means that the clinical trial and the drug that I was taking was not working. If it's not working, there's no sense in me staying on it because the cancer is just going to continue to grow, and obviously that's not what we want. So got off that one. MD Anderson is very good about having a backup plan for a backup plan for their backup plan. So he had a clinical trial that he wanted me to get on. It would not be ready to go for about 3 to 4 months. Obviously, they don't want me on nothing for that time frame. So I am starting another clinical trial on the 22nd. We actually drive down on Wednesday. I have screening Thursday, Friday, and Monday. And then if everything goes well, then we'll start the clinical trial on the 22nd. So that's kind of the cancer part of things. Now to get to the Colorectal Cancer Ducks t-shirts and the Colorectal Cancer Ducks themselves. I have two so that you can get to know them up close and personal. So years ago, I had a Jeep and I loved it. We didn't keep it for very long. I can't remember why. But when my current husband and I went to Hawaii several years ago, we rented a Jeep because if you're going to drive over lava fields, you need a Jeep. And it's beautiful in Hawaii and it's always sunny. You'll get spurts of rain, but it's not nearly like it is here or back in West Virginia where it rains and rains and rains. It literally rains for a couple of minutes and then it's done. Or at least that's what we experienced while we were there. Anyway, afterwards, I tried talking my husband into purchasing a Jeep, but at that point, it just didn't make sense. I had my Mini Cooper that was getting me from point A to point B. He's the breadwinner. I trust his financial suggestions, and I just let it go. Fast forward to April of this year, we bought our first Jeep. It's yellow, and I love it. And I love being able to take the top off. I love being able to take the doors off. It's a fun vehicle. I am all things cancer as I live and breathe that. Being an ambassador, you want to spread as much as awareness as you can. Being an ambassador kind of upgrades that. I don't know what the word is that I'm looking for, but it inflates that. You just want to do it more. And whenever you're a part of an organization, you have that opportunity to do that more because you have more resources at that point. So earlier this year, I was chosen to be an ambassador for Fight Colorectal Cancer. You can find them at fightcolorectalcancer.org. One of the things that is important to me, as well as Fight CRC, is spreading awareness and helping cancer patients along the way. The reason for the Ducks is Climb for a Cure. Climb for a Cure is a Fight Colorectal Cancer's largest single event and fundraiser of the year. Throughout the United States, last week, I believe, Rentless Champions of Hope climbed to new heights, raising money to support Fight CRC's path to a cure by funding cutting-edge research. Climb for a Cure is a labor of love hosted by survivors and family members united then. Let me start over. Climbing for a Cure is a labor of love hosted by survivors and family members uniting the colorectal cancer community, together dedicated to making sure other families don't have to endure the shame, stigma, and pain of colorectal cancer than their families have. I was not able to make it to any of the events this year. There was one in Colorado, there was one in New York, and there was one in California. We had some pre-planned plans, I guess, prior to knowing about this, that we couldn't get out of. So when Josh and I were in, and we knew about that early on, Josh and I were in Texas, and I told him we've got to do something. Like, I'm an ambassador. We have to, I can't just not do it and not do anything else. So we thought, when we purchased Jeeps, we learned about Duck Duck Jeep, and I thought, what a great way to incorporate colorectal cancer and Jeeps together, because Jeep people are amazing, and just the idea behind it is awesome. So we came up with, I thought, what a great way to get our colorectal cancer ducks out, get awareness spread, and get money raised for Climb for a Cure. Duck Duck Jeep came about when a lady in Canada named Allison wanted to make someone's day, and placed a rubber yellow duck with a note on a Jeep she had spotted. There are really no rules to this game. You literally carry a bag, and I have a Bex bag, but you carry a bag of ducks around, and you just put them on Jeeps that you see. Most of the time you want to look and see if you see ducks in the windshield. If you don't, either they don't know about it or they don't want to participate. You just never know. But the whole point of it is to perform a random act of kindness. So I just took her idea and took it to the next level. The ducks are initially to bring a smile to your face. Then it will educate you on a piece of information about colorectal cancer. So I made these tags myself. It kind of puts a personal touch to it, I guess, with my picture and my name and stage 4 colon cancer. And then it just gives a fact. There are 6 different ones that we've printed. They were taken right off of the Fight Colorectal Cancer's website. You don't have to be a Jeep owner in order to do this. Josh's cousin actually lives in Hawaii, and her kids purchased a lot of ducks. Sorry about that, Sarah. And there's a backstory. And she shared with me a cute little story. They were pulling into a cafe, and a Jeep pulled in beside of them, and her son looked at her and said, "Mommy, I need a duck." So she gave him a duck, and he went over to the Jeep owner and said, "You've been ducked." And the Jeep owner just smiled and said, "Thanks." So you don't have to be an owner. You can purchase them. You can make it a fun game for your significant other, for your children. It's just fun. You're spreading happiness as well as awareness, and hopefully people are paying attention to the tags and scanning the QR code and getting the information. This is the website that I've done. This is the home page. It kind of just gives, a detail. This is the Climb for a Cure website that you can actually donate on the website. Then it gives a little bit of information about Fight CRC and their actual website. This is kind of another story, but the ducks, we call it the migration. If you have not seen your state, you can actually send an email to me placing the ducks on a Jeep, and then I can put your picture and you'll be featured. So that's what that's about. This is kind of who are we and why are we here type of thing. And then this is who am I, and it gives a little background on who I am. And then questions with my puppy. On the top of the page, it gives different tabs. The first one is the clinical trial adventure. This just literally gives you information on me. I've started doing YouTube videos, and that's where this will go, as well as YouTube. The next one is hair growth, maybe. This is current hair loss. I just did a timeline. The first year that I did this, I literally did every single week. This year, I haven't been that great at doing it, but I have been doing certain ones. When I first had to shave my hair, I could not find anything that had any kind of hair loss timeline. So I thought this would be a fun way of showing people kind of what it looks like whenever you're growing your hair back. That was this one. This was the first one when I had surgery and such. And then finally the migration. This is a little map that I did last night. These are the states that the ducks still are not in, so we still need help, folks. We need to get these in as many states as we possibly can. And then this is another opportunity to buy the Colorectal Cancer Ducks. And then this is where you will be featured if you're in one of the states, and send a picture in. I've said, that if you are the first one to send it in for your state, I'll put them up there. And then Canada, we have some friends in Canada, so I was going to see who would win first, Canada or the United States. So far, United States is winning. And then this, I just did a slideshow. If you send me more than one, then I'll put you on a slideshow down here. That's Massachusetts, that's Hawaii, this is Texas, and then this was the first ducks that I sent while I was in Texas. So this gives you a lot of information. You can follow me along with the clinical trial, and then the first page, the first thing that you see, Ready, Set, Duck, is where you can buy the Colorectal Cancer Ducks. Again, Duck Cancer t-shirts is the second one that I'll send you to the website where you can buy t-shirts. So as I was diagnosed at the age of 33, I would love to get my ducks in at least 33 different states and raise at least $33,000. Obviously, if we can get them in as many states as possible, the number one thing with this is to get my story shared, get awareness out there. I wasn't super young like some of the younger people that have been diagnosed, but I was young. Colorectal cancer is an old man's disease, and I was diagnosed at 33. But it would be nice to raise money for colorectal cancer as well. Research is super important, and that's where this money goes once it gets to fight colorectal cancer. Just some quick, easy math. If we could get $1,000 out of each state, each of the 33 states, that's the minimum, we could quickly meet that goal. We are selling the ducks, as you've seen in the t-shirts on the website. The reason that we're selling them is to get funds to cover the cost of the ducks, as well as shipping that I've had to spend shipping them out. And then other expenses that have gone into the project. We had to buy these, and we had to print these, and we had to put them on. I wanted to do it as personal as I could. We do not have a sponsor. I do not like asking for help, so I wanted to do as much of this on my own as I could possibly do. Obviously, if we have a sponsor that wants to help with the costs of the ducks and shipping and all of that stuff, we would be grateful. If you would be interested in doing that, all you would need to do is contact me. But that's kind of the story of the ducks and the shirts. We are just trying to spread awareness. March is Colorectal Cancer Month, so don't forget that. Put that on your calendar. Wear the blue. We need more help. Research, as I said, is super important, and the more research that can be done, the more we can learn, and the more we could possibly save with lives and younger folks. And almost last but not least, do your strong arm selfies. Every strong arm selfie post with hashtag strong arm selfie will get $2 sent to fight colorectal cancer for research. And last but not least, I do have 2 stepchildren, Alexis and Colby. They are both young. One's a teenager, one's not quite yet a teenager. This has not been easy for them. I did not give birth to them, but that doesn't make me less important in their lives. The younger one has been taking it a little bit harder than the older one. I think that she hides her feelings like her dad. But if you see Alexis and Colby around town, if you personally know them, give them an extra squeeze for us. Let them know that you're thinking about them. Give support to Josh. Caregivers are important too. He has endured a lot of this, and he doesn't have a lot of time to digress, I think is the word. So just give my family some love. If you have any questions or concerns, I would be more than happy to talk to you. I will have a lot of time on my hands the next 6 weeks, and possibly longer if this clinical trial works. So I love you guys. I hope you have a great week. And I hope this video helps with the people that may not necessarily know me. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.